Hey guys, Mark here. I gotta say it's funny because even over the whole weekend, I had Christmas stuff going on, but I was, more or less trying to, keep track of videos and news and stuff to see if, just anything ridiculous uh, happened to be going on. Because for whatever reason, some of these craziest things that seem to happen, especially out of Washington, seem to happen when nobody is paying attention. So I'm sitting around last night and I'm waiting to open the last round of gifts, and I decided um, to watch a Google Hangout on YouTube by Lay Stewie. And uh, right before I had decided to check it out, lo and behold, I just stumbled upon this, and I see this on Zero Hedge. And I found it pretty interesting because everybody that was in there in her little Google Hangout um, had no idea that this had happened. And what's really more interesting is from what I've seen, and even though I do bring videos and pieces of information from stuff from that I find out from Zero Hedge from time to time that are pretty exceptional. I usually try to go with alternate different sources to give you guys, um, you know, uh, more credible information than just one source so you'll really know what's going on. And I found it interesting that nobody seems to be reporting on this until I had brought it out to people's attention last night, except for Zero Hedge and probably a few other sites that a lot of you, including myself, have never even heard of. And what's really troubling is this didn't happen yesterday. This happened on Friday. So while we're all doing our thing over the weekend and we're all trying to get our last minute Christmas plans and shopping and so on and so forth uh, done, nobody, nobody in the community seemed to notice uh, this. I had been talking to you guys about this HR 6393, this anti Russian propaganda bill that was passed in the Senate. And I've been a big vocal speaker and letting everybody know how pissed off I am, how everybody's doing all these great videos about Trey Gowdy, and he's one of the bastards that voted yes to put this anti Russian propaganda censorship law against the American people. And what we have here is that this thing is now a law. Okay, this thing never went to the House. Everybody was checking on this thing on the government website, waiting to see when they were going to vote on this Portman Act, this HR 6393 deal, to see when it was going to go to the Senate, because it kept saying it was going to go to the Senate later this year. But that's not what happened. Now, what they're talking about here is how they reported in June that a bill to implement in the U.S. a very own de facto Ministry of Truth had been quietly introduced in Congress. And it's also called the Countering Information Warfare Act of 2016. Now, this says 2692, but I believe they have possibly made an error here, but whatever, they have a couple of different um, Russian propaganda bills that they were working on. And so, and what happened is on Friday, and we saw this in 2013 when they signed the National Defense Authorization Act, the NDAA of 2013. This is when the government overturned the Smith-Mundt Act, and that's when they made it where it was feasible to do propaganda in the United States against the American people. Well, once again, while nobody's expecting it, 2 days before Christmas, Obama signs the National Defense Authorization Act of 2017. And it's curious because I didn't even know that he had signed the National Defense Authorization Act until last night on Christmas. On Christmas, I find out that in this National Defense Authorization Act, the Anti-Russian Propaganda Ministry of Truth American Censorship Law was signed into law by Barack Obama 2 days before Christmas. So apparently, Obama's gift to Americans for Christmas was turning America into communist China. And this is just something else, y'all. Now, as you can see here, you can do a click for a full statement by the generously funded Senator Rob Portman. So, go right here. This is Rob Portman's government page. As you can see right there, December 23rd, press release, President signs Portman-Murphy counter-propaganda bill into law. He says down here at the bottom, our enemies are using foreign propaganda and disinformation against us and our allies, and so far the U.S. government has been asleep at the wheel, Portman said. But today the United States has taken a critical step towards confronting the extensive and destabilizing foreign propaganda and disinformation operations being waged against us by our enemies overseas. With this bill now law, we are finally signaling that enough is enough. The United States will no longer sit on the sidelines. We're going to confront this threat head on, and I am confident that with the help of this bipartisan bill, the disinformation and propaganda used against us, our allies, and our interests will fail. And you know, guys, you know who else has this exact same ideology? People like China, people like North Korea, and you see these exact same laws popping up in Germany, popping up in England, right? This thing's going on all over the world, and this wasn't all because he wasn't done. No, you would think that that would be enough for Obama to do while everybody was paying attention to Christmas, but oh no. He was busy passing another executive order, and he is now provided once again an order of succession. This time it is with the Department of Labor. As you can see right here, the one before that was on Homeland Security, and that was one of the many chains of succession that were completely changed simply by using a pen and a phone by Barack Obama. And once again, y'all need to remember, okay, we started off this thing in 2012. One of his first acts as president was the National Defense Resource Preparedness Act. All right, and anybody who takes the time to read this, this is the Authorization Act that gives the government to enslave everyone and take control of everything in the nation in a time of peace or at a time of war, any time of their choosing, and they can just lock down everything. And in this act, they make it very important to detail all of the different heads, like the Homeland Security, like the Department of Labor, all these different secretaries who head these departments that the president appoints, all have very specific roles to play in this Resource Preparedness Act. They lay out the whole thing of who's doing what to make sure that everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing, taking control of the resources, taking control of the money, putting people into forced labor camps, taking over everybody's possessions. I mean, it's all spelled out in there on who's supposed to do what, and it seems like every single little branch of the government that is involved in taking direct action in this act are all being change the succession route of these particular positions, which would lead me to believe that Obama is in fact um, setting up to make sure that he gets this thing enacted before he leaves office. And I think it's important. You guys going Trump, 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 which I understand. Look, I voted for Trump. I hope for good things for him, but he's not in office for a while. He's still got like another month. And as we can clearly see, Obama's got plenty of time to do more damage, and he would not do these things just as a lame duck thing before he's leaving the presidency. He wouldn't be doing all this if he didn't have a particular plan of attack, and he's showing it to you with these change of succession orders. That way he can make sure that he gets his people in place when this thing kicks off. This is why they are censoring us now, because they don't want us to know, he doesn't want us to know that this is about to happen. And I'm sure that people are saying, well, this isn't possible that this could happen. And I know it's a different place, it's a little bit different culture, but this exact same thing just happened in Turkey. And let's not forget how we started off the year. Pete Santilli and the Bundys were out standing up to the government. Now I get half the guys that were there were probably agents, but a lot of them weren't. Pete's still in jail to this very day for trying to tell the American people what was going on with the Bureau of Land Management and trying to stand up against a corrupt government. And now he's still sitting in jail for trying to tell the people the truth, regardless of what you think about him. So I guess it's kind of fitting that they start off the year by arresting Pete for trying to tell the American people the truth, and they end the year by passing a law that's going to censor Americans from anything the government doesn't want you to see. And why are these little things important, you guys? Well, let's take a look at Mr. James Madison had to say. He said, I believe there are more instances of the abridgment of freedom of the people by gradual and silent encroachment than by those in power, than by violent and sudden usurpations. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're not doing it all at once. They're doing it a little bit at a time, so you won't notice, right? Little by little by little by little, before you know it, bam. It's the exact same thing they did in Germany. And remember what happened with the electors, the DNC, when they stole the election from Bernie. They were all sitting there with their tape over their mouth saying silenced. And Barack Obama just got that same piece of tape and he stuck it on everybody's eyes and everybody's ears and everybody's mouth and the whole country by signing this bill into law on Friday.